what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video talking about a comparison between the Governor in Prison story arc from the Walking Dead television series and the original, which inspired it, from the Image comic book series. Okay, so this was a viewer requested topic, and as always it does contain spoilers for anyone who has not seen both the Walking Dead comic book series up to date, current date, mid-season break, and anyone who has not read the Governor story arc from the Walking Dead comic book series and intends to. If you don't intend to read the comic book series, if you don't read comic books, then what do you care anyway? But I will be talking about the events that occur in that and what separates and what makes it different, of course, from the newer television series version. Now, granted, these comic books are like, I don't know, 5-6 years old at this point, but they, it's still spoilers for anyone who would intend to read them. That said, though, let's do it. Let's do a comparison between the two. I like the video topic. I like the idea. Now, originally, of course, I had read the comic book series version first, so we'll start off with that. We'll just go through that really quickly, and then we'll talk about the television series, and then we'll compare them. So, the original comic book series. Now, let's see. Initially, Rick's group finds the prison first. They go through the prison, they take it over, they deal with the prisoner story arc there, which is a whole trade paperback in the comic book series. And then after that, they essentially see a helicopter crash at some point after dealing with some things at the prison and some crazy members and stuff like that. And they go out in chasing after this helicopter for some kind of answers or some kind of information. Maybe the person who was flying the helicopter has some kind of info about the zombie apocalypse, what's going on, or something. So they go out chasing after the helicopter, and then when they basically find it, they see that the helicopter pilot or whoever was on it has been taken by some other group. So they track the group back to Woodbury, where they initially we meet the first appearance of the Governor in the comic book series. Now, essentially, they take the members of Rick's groups in kind of against their will. The three of them, I think it is, yeah, 3 of them. And then, of course, they treat them terribly. They essentially, major spoilers for the comic book series. The Governor, we kind of meet him, and then right after we meet him, we find out that he's forcing strangers to fight each other for the enjoyment of his people, and Rick kind of fights back against him, and he cuts Rick's hand off. He tortures Glenn and Michonne, and then kind of lets Glenn go to try to find the prison, and essentially does some tactics to try to let Rick go, to have him be one of the group members that goes with him. I believe it's Martinez, actually, be led back to the prison afterwards, or go to the prison and then come back to Woodbury afterwards to tell the Governor where it is because he wants it. Right, so that said, the battle ensues back and forth. There's some good different little outpost battle type situations in between. We see Tyrese and Michonne kind of go off on their own. They get in with the Governor, and they lose, essentially. Michonne runs off. Oh wait, well, she does come back and torture the Governor a little bit at some point during that mix. And then, of course, Tyrese gets captured by it. The Governor attacks one time, kind of retreats back, and then comes back in pretty quickly afterwards, after capturing Tyrese and killing him essentially with Michonne's sword, which in this TV series is switched to Herschel, which I would have to say I do prefer the Herschel version, because he's elderly, he's helpless, and I think it played out more smoothly and cleanly than someone like Tyrese, for example. Those of you who haven't read the comic book series, this probably sounds strange to you, but this is the original way it went before they changed it in the TV series. And then, of course, the Governor's group attacks, and Rick's group essentially is defeated. Part of Rick's group leaves beforehand. Andrea comes back to help out. Andrea survives, which is a huge difference, right? And then, of course, Rick's group ends up losing like half of its members, including Lori, which is shot and killed at that time when the Governor attacks, and not beforehand, which was switched again in the TV series. And then, of course, the Governor essentially wins the battle at the prison. Rick's group has to leave, and Lily from his group kills him because of the whole battle war thing, and her shooting Judith, or Lori, who's carrying Judith, seemingly killing Judith. So the Governor dies. He doesn't win, but his group does take the prison. Now, that's the Governor story arc from the comic book series. At the time when I first read it, I thought it was the most exciting thing I'd ever read in a comic book series. I thought it was the greatest. Yeah, out of any comic book series I've ever read, that was probably my favorite story arc of any. It was just amazing, and the ending of it too, the big climactic battle with even Laurie dying was just jaw-dropping the first time you read it. You never think that the protagonist's wife would be killed and baby and this kind of thing would happen. And then he goes for it, and it works so well. So that was that. So I love that version. Probably my favorite story arc, if you think of it as one, from all comic books I've ever read. That one right there. So that was the comic book series. Now, let's talk about the television series version. So the television series version of that being tremendously different. Okay, let's start from the top. Season 3 starts, they take the prison. Episode 3 or 4, I think 3, we meet the governor, we find out what he's all about, we see him attack a group of military men and take everything they have without reason, basically, without cause or without a reason for doing it. He's evil, kind of similar to the comic book series, but we get a sense in the TV series that this is a strategy to take the resources that other people have from them to keep his group alive. Whereas in the comic book series, it doesn't really necessarily seem that way. In the comic book series, it just seems like he's evil because he's evil. Television series, it seems like he's got a strategy, and it is an evil strategy, but it makes sense because he doesn't care about others in the world. They're not part of Woodbury. He only cares about Woodbury, so he's going to go out there, and it's a war zone. He'll take anything from anybody, and he looks at it that way in terms of like war, so to speak, right? Declare war on anyone else out there, protect his own. You know, strategy that he basically, if you read the novels, I've heard anyway, because I haven't read them, but was developed or became because of what others in the world did to him. He sort of transformed that way and became that way because others would do things to his group and steal from him and kill and all these types of things. So he basically made that switch and decided to start doing it to others that he would meet in the world. So that said, we've got Merle, who joins this group, who's not in the comic book series, a new addition, who's a lot of fun. The helicopter crashes, we meet him. He takes out the military group. We go on from there. So essentially, Michonne and Andrea wind up stumbling into Woodbury. Much different in the comic book series. Never occurred in the comic book series. So then we see Michonne run off because she knows the governor's full of it, right? She can sense it. And he sicks the dogs on her. Merle goes after her and the others. Really exciting stuff in the TV series. Love how that all plays out. The whole go back thing and everything the sort in that portion of season 3 I really enjoy. Okay, and then of course going on from there we have Glenn, who in the mix meets up with Merle. Merle, employing the strategy that they have developed with the governor's group, takes Glenn and Maggie back to the governor's group. And essentially, they start interrogating them, wanting to find out about the prison, all these different things because of their strategy they employ. Not knowing really that this is the same group that Andrea was a part of. This is the same group that Merle, I guess, at one time was a part of, sort of. And basically that, you know, they probably don't really want to pick a fight with Rick's group, which they do, of course, anyway, because that's their strategy and they're not afraid. I mean, they take down military-type guys. They have no reason to think that a bunch of random people, including a cop and some others, at a prison are going to be any kind of a threat to them, right? So that's really great stuff there with all of that. And then, of course, we see the end of the second half of season 3. Rick's group saves them, takes them back. You've got Daryl in the mix there with Merle. Rick saves them. They go back, and Merle comes with them, and they rescue them. And then the whole Andrea kind of gets involved and tries to smooth things out. It doesn't work. The governor attacks at home, the episode Home, where he kills Axel and the others. Kind of a quick little attack, which was fun. I really enjoyed that one. We see Clear, where Rick goes to get some additional guns and stuff like that. And then, of course, the ending of season 3, after Rick and the governor are not able to negotiate things out, and basically we see a pretty good battle at the end of season 3. Rick's group wins, the governor becomes a team killer and wipes out his whole team. Then, of course, where we all thought it was going to end there, season 4 starts. We don't see him at all at the beginning. We see him in episode 5 at the end of internment, and then it rewinds, so to speak, chronologically, and we see 2 full episodes of the governor going from having nothing, essentially being a lifeless walker, without being bitten, of course, and actually being a zombie, walking around, the beard and everything. And rises back to power in Martinez's group and takes the group and attacks the prison, and in the mix his entire group is wiped out aside from Lily and Tara. Everyone else is killed seemingly, and then of course he is killed himself, and obviously I forgot to mention about Milton and Andrea. He killed them at the end of season 3, of course, so that's a huge difference from the comic book series. And then, of course, the Too Far Gone battle at the end and everything that occurs with that in the television series. Lots of differences. Tyrese survives. Most of Rick's group survives, except, of course, Andrea. And the difference, Tyrese is alive rather than dead from the comic book series. Herschel dies in both. And let's see, I think everything else is pretty much the same. T-Dog and Laurie's death was earlier rather than at the end of the whole battle and everything. And that's pretty much it. So that's the television series version, and we're basically left in the same kind of spot as we were in the comic book series, just with different characters being alive or dead. In Here We Remain, which is in the comic book series where that part sort of starts the post-governor and prison story arc of the series. So which version do I like better? This is a tough one because I like both for different reasons. All in all, if I had to choose one, I would say I liked the television series version of the whole prison story arc and better, I would have to say. Especially the governor's side of it. I've talked about this a little bit before where I compare the governor from the TV series versus the comic book series. The comic book series version of the governor, it seems like he's just evil because he's evil. It doesn't seem like he's torturing Rick's group for a purpose or a reason. It just seems like, you know, it feels contrived. It just feels like he's evil because he's evil. Whereas in the television series, it does feel more like a strategy, and I like that a lot more. I like the governor's sort of at the top being, when we meet him, he's in power, he's at the top. He loses everything through the process, including Andrea, Milton, everyone he cares about, even Tyree, or even Martinez and Shumpert leave him, and Shumpert ends up dying. Martinez turns his back on him, doesn't like him anymore. Possibly may have even killed him if he didn't have the girls with him. When we meet him in season 4, when they meet again in the pit, and basically goes from this height of being in charge of everything to losing it all. And then in season 4, we get to see him essentially find a purpose and then build back up by taking over this group, which I enjoy heavily to see him take over that group. So from the governor's perspective, I enjoy that way more in the TV series. Now, aside from that, there are some negative things about it. I don't like everything, all the changes they made in the TV series. There are a lot of things that I liked better in the comic book series. For example, the death of Andrea in the TV series, it works and it makes it so that the groups can't live together. You know, the governor can't live with Rick's group because of what happened with Andrea. Michonne would never forgive it, and it would never work. So it works for that purpose. But I do like to see Andrea as a character around because she's been around since the beginning, and in the comic book series, she still is there, which is really, really cool to have her there as a character. I think she's a great character. In the television series, they kill her off right at the end of the season, so I didn't like that as much, but the death did do some good things now, I guess, for the plot, because they wouldn't even try living together because they know it wouldn't work as a result of what happened with Andrea. So there's that. So let's see, in addition to that, the final battle, I mean, seeing it play out in actual video and everything, the additions being, you know, Daryl with the tank, with destroying it, killing Mitch, more backstory behind all the characters from Woodbury in the TV series, getting to know Martinez more, getting to know Lily and you know, the girls more from the governor's perspective, whereas in the comic book series they were kind of like nameless, just characters. They didn't really have any kind of backstory or anything. All around, I prefer the television series version of the story in almost every way except for the Andrea thing, and maybe I don't know, a few other things. The prisoners from the TV series I didn't like as much as the prisoners from the comic book series. I thought it was more exciting in the comic book series, but of course the Laurie death and T-Dog death was part of that, you know, in season 3 as a result of what Andrew did from Rick not killing him off sooner. So that was all good stuff. Switching out the time sequence of the Lori death from the end of the battle to you know, sort of near the beginning of the prison, I think it worked okay. You wouldn't want to do it at the same time because it'd be too predictable if it was just the same, and that's a huge kill, so I can see why they changed that. So I guess all in all, what I'm saying, just to kind of wrap it up, is I prefer the television series version of the prison story arc and the governor story arc versus the comic book series, even though the comic book series, that portion, is probably my favorite, you know, couple story arcs of any comic book series I've ever read. Even the Negan stuff, at first I was really excited for the Negan stuff, what's going on right now, but I don't think it's going to be as epic when you look back on it as the governor and prison story was. That was just something crazy. So they were both amazing in their own respects, but I would have to go with the television series version being my favorite of the two. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about that heavily interesting topic, comparing the comic book series Governor and Prison Story arc to the television series. Which you like better and why? I like the TV series version better, and all those reasons are basically why. There's lots more too, but you know, if I talked about them all, we'd be here for an hour. So anyway, and my throat's getting tired. So anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.